unless you register that, how do you prove whose source code that is? To take a simple example, let's say Microsoft. They have an employee in India. Now one fine day that employee takes some source code, starts his own company. How does Microsoft prove that source code is theirs? I mean, think about it logically. How do you prove? You don't really write anything in the source code which can't be changed. So how do I prove that this is my source code and not his? The only way I could do that is that I have already registered that source code with the government. And then tomorrow if it's taken to court, I have that government proof. So in that case, obviously you would need the digital evidence. Any questions? One of the things that has been covered by the new law is the concept of voyeurism. Now, what this basically means is, we've had a lot of cases where people put in these cameras in the ladies' changing room or in a shopping mall, and they take some picture of ladies changing, men changing, whatever. And then it could be distributed on the internet through CDs, whatever. Now, that was not specifically covered under the Indian law. So we had this case where a 58-year-old man was arrested in Pune, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Kulkarni. Now, he had a large house, and one part of it he would rent out to young ladies. And he had put a video camera there. I wouldn't say video camera, but it was some kind of ancient camera, which would record whatever the ladies were doing in the room, transmit that to his TV, which was in his own room. And there he had an affair with his maid. Slightly warped family. But they would sit and then watch all those videos. Now the problem that arose is, under the existing Indian law at that time, obscenity or pornography was punishable if you published it, transmitted it, or caused it to be published. Now in this case, he's watching it himself. Is that a crime? So this is where the difficulty arose. So I gave an opinion that we can say that he published it to his maidservant. Because he hadn't even recorded it. It was just in real time he would watch it and then it would disappear. So to address an issue which is specific to that, this concept has been built into the Indian law. So now if you hide a camera in a changing room or anything, the basic definition is where a person has a reasonable expectation of privacy. So let's say there's a lady who goes into a changing room. Does she have a reasonable expectation of privacy there? Yes. Now if you photograph her on a video recorder, you go to jail for 3 years. But if that same lady gets paid for a modeling assignment and is posing in her undergarments for that, does she have a reasonable expectation of privacy? No. Those photographs are allowed. Because it's not being taken against her will. She does not have any privacy there. So those photographs are not covered by the law. Taking it quietly without telling her in a place like a changing room would be covered by this. Is it clear? Any questions?
What is sites of those cameras?
They're definitely liable. But what happens unfortunately is most of these sites are not located in India. So practically getting those people here becomes difficult. We have the concept of extradition. If you've heard of a gentleman called Abu Salim, who was extradited from Portugal. Now extradition works. It can be done in all cases where the imprisonment is over 1 year. But the practical difficulties arises if India does not have an extradition treaty with that country, they may not extradite. Second problem that arises is, voyeurism is a crime in India. What if it is not a crime in that country? Then they would extradite. Like if you heard of this virus called the Nagpal, the allergy virus, a gentleman by the name of, what is his name? A young college student wrote that virus, a Filipino. But he was not touched by the police. Because under the Filipino law at that time, it was not a crime. They did not have any law related to cybercrime. So creating a computer virus was not a crime. So although his act led to data destruction all over the world, which was a crime in most of the countries, it was not a crime in Philippines. So Philippines will never extradite him. Because they would say that okay, what he's done is a crime in your country, but it's not a crime in our country. So we cannot arrest him and send him for it. So if voyeurism is not a crime in those countries, they can host on-site non-stop. There are a lot of these small countries, like there are a bunch of countries called Christmas Islands. Very small islands. But you find a lot of crime actually happens from there. I don't even think most people live there. Because there's a place called Tuvalu, if you've heard of, the ones that have the .tv domain name, it takes you 4 days by boat to actually get to those islands. They don't have an aeroplane landing there. But the .tv domain name was allotted to them because it went on basis of the 2-digit codes. They got TV. An American company realized this can sell to all the media companies. So they bought over the rights to the .tv domain by giving this country 4 times its GDP. Just for the .tv rights. But this country has absolutely no law relating to all this. So if I was to register a business from that address or host it from that address, how would you ever extradite? Because that country has no law relating. So that's where the problem is. Is it clear? Any questions? Then publishing sexually explicit acts also punishable with 3 years imprisonment. We had this case a couple of years ago, if you recollect, this MMS clips were created. 2 youngsters indulging in sex, consensual sex. Somebody recorded it on a cell phone, converted it to an MMS, and then circulated it all over the country. One of the people burnt it onto a CD, went to the Bazi.com website and posted it for sale. The person got caught for selling it. The Bazi.com CEO got caught under the same section. He went to jail, Tihar jail for a few days. The case is still pending against him. But those kind of acts are now covered by a specific section. The punishment for which earlier was 5 years, now is reduced to 3 years. But publishing this kind of sexually explicit acts is also illegal under the new law. Any questions?
Yeah, does the new law protect the Bazi CEO?
Yes, it does. The new law, what it does is, it gives a lot of benefits to intermediaries. So if you're a web hosting provider, or an online auction provider, anyone providing these online services, the old law did not give you much protection. What the old law said is, you have to prove that either you have no knowledge of the offense, or you have taken due diligence to prevent the offense. Now, Bazi.com was intimated about this CD being sold through their servers, but it took them more than 18 hours to remove that entry. So, that was said to be not sufficient. And why did you take quicker action? The new law doesn't put that emphasis on it. The new law gives them a lot of benefits. But unfortunately for the Bazi case, it's under the old law. So he will be prosecuted under the old law and he will not get that benefit. Because criminal laws do not have a retrospective. They are effective from the date that they are passed, not before. So he doesn't get the benefit. Then there's a new section imposed for child pornography. As you know, in most countries of the world, most forms of pornography are not criminalized. It's only child pornography that is criminalized. So India has got a special section relating to that. Imprisonment is 5 years, going up to 7 years. An important point here is, collecting, browsing and even downloading is covered. So possession is also a crime. For normal porn, viewing is not a crime. Storing is not a crime. Selling or distributing is a crime. For child porn, even collecting is a crime. Even viewing is a crime. Searching for it is also a crime. You can't go to the internet and search for that kind of porn. That's also illegal. Now here we had one case in the UK where a young man was arrested for having a lot of child porn on his computer. And what happens is, a lot of these child porn websites are actually set up by government departments sometimes to find out who's trying to access it and then they catch those people. Plus somehow the police got to know that this person was downloading this. They arrested him, his computer was checked, they found a lot of child porn. He was arrested, lost his job, wife divorced him. But he took the defense that I did not download this. 3 years later it was proven that he actually did not download it. His computer was infected by a Trojan, which would download that child porn and dump it on some part of his life. And how did they prove that he didn't know about it? Because he had not accessed those files even once. Forensic experts were able to prove that he did not access those folders even once in the 3 years that those files were lying on his computer. So he got the benefit. And this is now known as, yes?
I think this is a funny question that I'm asking, but it's a real life problem that I'm facing. How you come to know that the given pornography movie is a child pornography? You can't determine the age of the child who is a part of that porn. So how you determine, how you say that it's a child pornography?
Basically the concept is the appearance. That person appears to be below 18. If you cannot identify who the person is, even if it's an adult, but they're dressed up like children. I mean, like you have some people want this schoolgirl porn. So you have adult models who are maybe like 20, 21, but dressed up as schoolgirls. That would come under child porn. And a clarification of this you would find in the Canadian law also, which very clearly says that even though the performers in that porn are adults, but they are pretending to look like children, then it's covered by child. Because, you don't know who those people are, so you can't find out their age. If they appear to be children, or they're pretending to look like children, it would still be called child. So it's a very strict definition of it.
And if the appearance is not that of the child pornography, but it's still a child, then?
See, it's all a question of evidence now. If I was defending a case like this, I wouldn't defend a case like this. But if someone was defending a case like this, what they would need to prove is those people are adults. Now, how do you prove that? Either you bring those people in and prove somehow they are adults, or you find other movies that they made in the past by which you can establish their age. But okay, 10 years ago also he had made a movie and this is his actual age. So you have to prove that age. Now there the onus would be on you. Because prima facie when the judge looks at it and he says, okay, this looks like children. Now you prove that they're not children. In fact, even what is porn is left to the judge. The judge will decide by looking at something whether it's pornography or not. Like if you've seen this movie based on Fulan Devi's life, Bandit Queen. Now the original version, which was released in India, showed complete frontal nudity. I mean, the beginning of the movie, really hard-hitting movie. But that was not considered pornography because the court considers who is the likely audience. Is it educated audience in cities who's going to see it, or uneducated audience in a village which is going to see it? Because different people react to the same thing in different ways. So you look at the background of the person viewing it to decide whether something is pornographic or artistic. And of course, an exemption is totally given for bona fide religious purposes and heritage. That's excluded from it. So if you can prove that pornography is part of a religious function, or something to do with our heritage, something to do with a temple or whatever, then it is not covered. Any other question?
But once the movie is released, that's for everyone. You can't just like that this movie is not for this particular village, or it's not for the...
No, yeah, the censor board can give you conditional certificates. So they would cut certain scenes if they were to be released in different parts of it. Okay. So they can give you a conditional.
So anybody can use a difference of religion to produce porn?
Yes, but you have to establish, prove it. That, see, now here why this is being done is because India is the country that gave the world the Kama Sutra. And the Kama Sutra also, in fact, could contain a lot of porn images. It does. I'm sure most of you have seen it. Now, if I was to put a website which scanned, let's say, the Kama Sutra and put it up, now would that be pornography? So no, it's heritage. Bona fide heritage. It is our heritage. Let's be honest, it is. It's thousands of years old. So that's not covered by it. That's a special difference. And if you look at a lot of temples, there are a lot of sculptures which show Christianity. But that's not porn. Because again, that's bona fide religion. Then of course, sending SMSs or emails which contain dirty jokes has always been punishable. The punishment has now come down. It was 5 years earlier, it's now come down to 3 years. So it's a little less risky to send. But I'm sure most of you do send out dirty jokes or dirty pictures by email. That's always been covered by the Indian law. Now it's 3 years jail. And there was this one case of a student in Bangalore, who sent out, like a normal student, he would send out dirty jokes to his friends. Now even with cell phones, you have wrong numbers. So he was sending it to a friend, but it landed up to somebody else who was a lady, practicing lawyer. Father was a judge in the Karnataka High Court. So obviously she took it very seriously, filed a case against him. He was arrested, he was in jail for a day, and the case is still pending against him. If convicted, he can go to jail for up to 5 years, because he had done it under the old law. So it's a very serious one. Any questions?
How will be the prosecuted?
Okay.
Is it based on the screen, umpire decision whether it is out or what actually the umpire decision is or not?
Okay.
Just because the umpire said also out.
Okay. It goes something like this. What the law says is, if something is lascivious or prurient or tends to deprave or corrupt the mind of the person most likely to see, hear or read the matter, then it is covered.
It depends on the person who is reading.
Yes, that's right. It is most likely to deprave or corrupt the mind of the person most likely to see, hear or read. That's the way the law goes. So the judge has to consider who was this meant for. Is that person an uneducated person, educated person, old guy, young guy? Depending on it's a very subjective decision. Very subjective. You have a mathematical formula for porn. This is porn, this is not porn. Purely left up to the judge. But to be honest, most of the porn you would find is so graphic that very obvious that it is. Yes, where the line would be like a double meaning show.
That's why the essence of it is definitely will always be important. And this is different thing that I didn't do this.